position. I will also access compound CCTV once you are inside. Back again. You know what I admire about you? You are perfectionist. It's not enough to stage daring robbery of Island Fortress. It's not enough to do it again. No, you keep coming back like true artists. Finding your approach, stealing even more valuable items, driving Mr. Rubio into depths of drug-filled paranoia. Ah, it is masterpiece. You are close now. Good luck. Mr. Rubio. We steal from him, and he restocks the cupboards with goodies. Huh? We Russians love an optimist. Mr. Rubio, he would rather die than abandon his expensive taste, no matter how many times he is robbed. In Russia, we call such men ATM.
Because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is undermining Trump's presidency. He ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI.
I don't think she knows what she's talking about.
Focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State, pouring in And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump. Let's see.
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights.
He didn't kill Roe v. Wade. They just put it back to the states.
With regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is
really out of it.
He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is
that makes so much sense.
That's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life.
Ultra Fire Service is cash flows. Even orthopedic doctors are using it. Orthopedic
does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you When Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban, because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it
Well, I won't have to, because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because you're running me, J.D. Vance has said that you would veto it if it did come to that.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. in all fairness. J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it, because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student.
Oh my God! Hello? Yeah. Okay. I'm streaming. I didn't think you were going anywhere. My speaker sucks. Could you say that again? Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. Give me a second.
Because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely.
I'm not wearing that.
Protections of Roe v.
I have on
Wade.
something completely different.
As you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion ban. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatment. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working one or two jobs who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, and red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President.
Excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month? Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's the problem.
Question, would you
because
veto?
under Roe v. Wade, you could do.
I thought the mics was going to be off.
7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month, and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job.
Yeah, Rubio ain't never in his office.
To stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch.
What the fuck happened?
In the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe in a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to give you a response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the board.
First, let me respond to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And
How did I get
what's
caught,
going
bro?
on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
54.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people on television saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Talk about it. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really...
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal in their life.
Yes, people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His
I didn't see him.
Has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said that
how did I get caught,
would
bro?
never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond.
Yeah. When I hear that. See, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military. You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah. It is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. You know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down. You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in. And all over the world, crime is down. All over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes.
Hello? Yeah. All right, I need your address. Yeah, the exact place. Wait. Hold on. Mm-hmm. I was saying, hold on. Yeah, I'll call you up in a minute. Here. I'll call you in just a second. Hold on. I'm working on it. I got it. Mm-hmm. All right. Give me a few minutes. I'll see you the information. I said, give me a few minutes and let me get the information together. All right. It's the second building, right? So sorry, y'all. Yeah, give me 1 second. I got a call coming in. Don't go nowhere. Hold on. Hello? Yeah, what's up? Preserves, please. That's what I have. Yes, ma'am. Sweetie, I'm streaming. Sweetie, I'm streaming. I'm streaming the debate. Yes. Hello. 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 All right, 15 minutes, okay? Yes, ma'am. That's what I picked. I picked the wait and save. I don't have Uber. All right. All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
For
Oh my God.
national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with the same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal.
Come on,
We saw that with the
jackass.
decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court.
I hate this
I'm
shit.
winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened to my documents case?
How you just gonna be after me? What did I do?
A complete and total victory.
Hey, Gabby, what's up, girl?
Thrown out. It's weaponization.
So
They
cute in
used
your
it, and
picture.
it's never
Oh my
happened in
goodness,
this
look at you.
They used it.
Damn,
to
girl,
try to
you
win
almost made me
elections
want to
of
lick my
fake
lips.
Cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of justice.
Hey, boo.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be
Get the fuck out of the way. Why would you
for
stop?
any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand that this is someone who
Oh
has
my
openly
God.
said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution.
There was
of the
no
United
reason for you to pull
States.
me
That he
over.
weaponized the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand
This is your
That's
hand
all-
there.
me
okay.
and Donald Trump were back in the
Okay.
White House with no guardrails.
Cool,
Because
totally.
certainly,
Let me see
now
what
the
we
court
have.
won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice
To
President
stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Yes.
Don't shoot me. What the fuck? I didn't do anything.
Yeah, pretty
This
long.
is the one
I
that
have a small
weaponized,
time
not
crew
me.
moving a
She
weapons shipment
weaponized.
via
I
boat.
probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get
went
to.
nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President.
They always cut him off, man. Damn.
You wanted to ban fracking, now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons, now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings, now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed, so then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of it, at least every. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States, and in fact, I was.
Bro, people that's voting right now don't even know what fracking is.
Which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of
Exactly.
energy, reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership.
Creating all of these issues. Yes, I love you. I love you. The Dems are creating all of these issues.
Is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term.
How do I get over there, man?
That is related to having a friend when I was in
Wait. I know what it is. I'm tripping. I know what it is. I'm tripping.
On protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance.
No, she's not. You see, she ain't hanging with Meg Thee Stallion no more.
That is about protecting Social Security and Medicare. It's based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people.
Damn, Matthew, what the
and
fuck?
Not beating people down.
I can drive, though. I can drive, Gabby. I can drive for real.
The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands that strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president. President Trump,
well, first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder. This
is going to be, he's going to mop the floor with her, man. I'm telling you.
I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars. Many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. The police, she's been against that forever.
I can't drive. I'm just distracted.
Very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it.
Man.
Okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. You don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
Killed him.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let
shit. He used the line against her.
That burned down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get him out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish one thing. So
where are these guys, man? She's a harlot.
I got the oil business.
I love that word. It was all 1986 word, 1896 words.
They got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof.
What the fuck? Energy isn't just
man, come
it's
on.
It's a way to say. It's the first
would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election,
hello, you're through to Meriwether Security Consulting. What can I do for you?
Our country, and oil will
your
be
Meriwether Air Team is on its way.
We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar. But they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil.
Shut up! Man, let the man talk!
Lindsay, thank you.
You guys suck, bro. Damn.
And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know.
We're here now.
Democracy and the role of a president.
I got you this time. I'm not even in this.
You told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters.
Come on. I got perfectly this time because Gabby said so.
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember that. She was the border czar.
She's still the border czar.
The border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America, they're coming in from all over the world, David. All over the world.
What am I doing?
And crime rates are down.
Oh, I didn't even pick this shit up.
But one of those, David, one of those people.
Come on.
One of the people.
Damn, I didn't even pick it up. I got all the way here.
Or in Seattle.
Didn't even pick it up.
In Seattle, they took over.
Damn, what the fuck, man? You tripping.
When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just answer.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question.
Damn, man, how you? What just happened?
About what you did. Yes,
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's...
Damn, man, I can't believe I went over there.
And the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor...
Did I blow it up? Did I blow it up?
I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It wasn't done by me, it was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi,
yeah.
It was just...
She admitted to that.
Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about...
Oh, snap, I thought Buddy had killed them all, man. Damn.
I was at the Capitol on January. I was the vice president elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited
Get out of there. Get out of there.
To attack our nation's capital.
Man, I'm not going to do this with them folks. I'm not going to do this with them folks.
40 law enforcement officers were injured. And some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached.
Ooh, is that money?
For exactly that reason.
What is that?
But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president say?
Neither side. It's done, right? Get your passport. Let's go. I told people a long time ago that border, that wall was to keep you in.
President said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand.
Hello? Okay, I'm finna head out there right now.
Our campaign for you.
So sorry, y'all.
Stand for country. To stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos.
I told her I was on the way, but I gotta drop this stuff off first because I am on a time limit.
Without attacking the foundation.
Wait a minute, I got a kid. Wait a minute, he's ready for school. He's getting ready for school.
And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election.
Come on, girl, run! Damn.
If this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
I'll be right back, y'all. I'll be right back.
Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have this energy business. That was where Bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people They covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue because it really brings us.
No, what the fuck?
You lost the 2020 election. You repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short. Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge it at all. I said that sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video.
I'm back.
I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing.
What did I miss?
They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on behind the debate.
I'd love to have you. You'll do a
What else is going on in the world?
I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker, so he still believes he did not lose the election.
My grandmama voted in that election. I think he lost in that election because my grandmama died in 2007.
This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election.
I got paperwork that says thank you for registering for her to vote.
People who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials. He says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will
right. They keep interrupting him every time. That's why they chose ABC, because they gonna play ball.
We won't let him.
ABC gonna play ball. They ain't gonna let you have the full thing like Elon Musk.
Fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who
the first election, they just tried to steal the election. They tried some shit and it worked. They're going to do it again.
In a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you
they're going to do it again.
I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And world leaders are laughing.
Yup. They're going to do it again.
I have talked with military leaders, some of whom work with you. And they say you're a disgrace.
The first one was just a free trial.
And when you talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond.
Let me just tell you about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
So
and
North Koreans are getting killed because they had a flood.
Real estate investors, big heads up. Don't tell anybody, but I'm going to show you.
Kim Jong-un is killing people in North Korea because they had a natural disaster, a flood that nobody was prepared for.
Real estate game.
50,000 people.
Look, Viktor Orban said he said the most respected, most feared person.
I know, right? But this is what people want. This is what people love. They love Brummel. They love the shit.
Man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
He can't.
He can't. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war. And
oh, man, this is going to be a disaster.
Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago.
Well,
now
drop flyers.
1,000 Palestinians.
Easy shit like that.
Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well,
she has no reason being nothing. Right. She's a vice president already. Why is she debating whatever?
This organization.
She wasn't even chosen. Oh my God. She didn't have nobody else to go up against.
People who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly.
This is the first time I ever really seen her talk without a cue card for a long period of time.
Has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end.
I just noticed them billboards down there. I gotta go back. I just saw that shit.
Around the clock on that.
This shit is crazy, right?
That
we over, bro. It is done. We're cooked.
And in that,
my kid will tell you that. My son will tell you that. America
is
cooked.
For the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran.
I just now saw that.
And any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up.
He wouldn't have did
worse
that.
than people understand what's going on over there.
Vladimir saw opportunity and he took it.
Israel, all of a sudden.
I know Vladimir. He's a great
Israel.
guy.
She wouldn't even meet
real smart,
with
very intelligent.
Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party.
Yeah, she was.
She wanted to go to the sorority party.
She doesn't care about Israel.
If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up.
Shit.
Arabs.
He just offended them. It's a wrap for him, bro. He's
Israel
dead.
will be gone.
He's gone. They gonna take him out, bro.
Iran was broke under Donald Trump.
About them Arabs.
Now Iran $300 billion because they took.
You're shitting on me. We all love Kamala.
Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror, and they are spheres of terror.
He just cooked himself, bro.
They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East.
About the what? I can't see the whole chat.
I will get that
How do I see the chat?
And I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended.
Okay, hold on. How do I see the whole chat?
If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career life supporting.
I can't see the chat.
The Israeli people.
I'm gonna have to watch it on my tablet.
He's trying to again divide and distract.
Oh shit! Damn, I forgot.
It is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
Oh my God.
It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into you.
I'm so sorry. Damn, my earbud. I gotta make this call real quick. Yo, my bad. His name is Saeed. He'll be right outside in about 2 minutes. He's in a Kia Soul. They don't say what color. 2 minutes. So sorry. I'm streaming right now. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 2 minutes. He's coming around the corner right now. He's on Ridgeport. You got about a minute. His name is S-A-I-D, Saeed. It look like he in a. It look like a green Kia Soul, like a box. He'll be outside in a little bit. All right, bye. Yeah, like he's in the neighborhood. All right, bye. All right. It might be green. I don't know. He'll stop. Cause it's just showing a random color on here. It says green. I'm streaming right now. Can I? Okay. Can you? All right, it's coming. Just give it a second. All right. No. Okay, 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute. He's coming around the corner right now. He's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings away. Yeah, that's him moving real slow. Okay. Oh yeah, the dialogue. Yeah, that's right. It's coming. I'm streaming. I gotta let you go. All right. Bye, see.
Including the importance of holding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
And she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approved the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe, because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way, gets paid a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get.
Why do they keep doing that?
More of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in
Oh, okay. They're projecting they're doing the same thing they did this last year.
Presidential debate will continue.
We got a commercial. For whatever reason, we got a commercial. Why do we have a commercial? Was there a problem or something? Was there a problem? Okay, yeah, I forgot to put that note in. Did you tell them that? I forgot to put a note in. All right. Right, he's hitting vital points and they keep cutting him off. Hey, look, I see when you get here. I see when you get here. I'm streaming right now. All right. Man, I'm kind of glad they had a commercial. Real talk. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay. It's it's funny because it's backwards on the screen down there. So my apologies, people. Oh man! All right, yeah. So I'm gonna retitle this after the after the debate. But I wanted to stream it because I was watching it. But I wanted to play the game and I wanted to stream the game. But I didn't want to start streaming the game to watch the debate because I wanted to watch the debate and stream the game at the same time. I got too much going on. I got a lot going on. It is what time is it? I am in Central Texas. It is 9:12. That's 9 with 3 hands. It's 9:12, and yeah, we're streaming the presidential debate, which isn't really a presidential debate. This man is cooking this woman, and she's just projecting her failures onto him, and crying about it. Man, I got to do a video about this. If you're new here or if you flew here. Or hell, even if you blew here, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to wake everybody up. Not wake everybody up. Wake up some people that want to be woke up. Some people don't. Some people like this shit. Some people like the drama. Some people like the pantering and back. I just like this little shit show that we're having. We going back and forth and shit. Man, let me ask you something. If you're watching this and you're not Gabby, because we all know you're not Gabby, because Gabby is one of a kind and we love her. If you're watching this and you're not her, did you vote for Kamala? Just ask yourself that. Did you vote for Kamala Harris, yes or no? No, but she deserves a shot. Okay, maybe after all 4 of these damn wars are over, maybe after we defeat all 7 of these enemies all around the world, then maybe we can talk. But until then, we don't need no laughing ass half-bald hyena, because they don't really show her head. Like, she just been having hair treatments for like 2 years now. They don't show her in her full glory. The dysfunction is quite right. Because for real, because people relate to dysfunction. They can go back to what they deem familiar. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so you got Joe Biden, who's in the office. His son's a fucking crackhead. His fucking wife is sleeping with the vice president's husband. Nobody want to hear your shit. Go on with your shit.
Every invading army of the last 100 years. Why wouldn't it work for us? Well done.
Joe Biden's wife is sleeping with Kamala Harris' husband. Kamala Harris don't even use her husband's last name. His last name is Imhoff. You know how... Do you know how bad that'll look on a presidential candidate ticket? Imhoff. You get what I'm saying? I know I'm probably gonna have some people in the audience or whatever, or people in the overflow talking about well, you shouldn't be joining on her like that because she stands up for the LGBTQIA plus 10 I quantity infinity sign logo, $ plus plus hashtag Vladimir Zelensky crew. Damn, that was a mouthful. Shit. All right. Anyway, I know I shouldn't be talking about it. I really shouldn't.
Hey, yo.
You know what I'm saying? But nobody voted for her. Nobody picked her. Nobody saw her coming. We saw Trump coming. We seen what he was able to do. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I wish you would. The alphabet people make America look like a damn circus. Exactly, because they kill them overseas. What I was saying? Yeah. I forgot what I was saying. I forgot what I was saying. Fuck it, I got distracted.
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir.
Oh! Shit, I'm gonna blew myself up.
ABC News.
Oh, shit!
We're going to continue. I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that
all right, it's back on, y'all. It's back on.
From Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that?
I can't tell you how I'm going to solve the war in 24 hours because they're going to copy me and do it.
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting with your fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less.
Why does that keep happening?
And you don't have the courage to ask Europe, like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 200.
Who is that?
275 billion.
Oh, shit.
They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell, but after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president?
Where is he?
He's a president.
And just to clarify
they threw him out of a campaign like a...
All right, I'm back.
We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's in the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done. Negotiate a deal.
Who's that? Oh,
stop all these
I'm still shooting. That's right.
From being destroyed.
Oh, you talking about East? You talking about Joe?
Support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as commander-in-chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through territorial boundaries to define one of the most important international rules.
I didn't mean to do that.
Which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how we could defend
and a blank check.
Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins,
they're now invading.
We have provided.
Ukraine so now Ukraine is invading Russia.
Country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not.
Why you gotta be the only one, man? Give me problems.
Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military.
Why you take him off the camera?
Ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland.
What the fuck, Timo?
100,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania. How quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship.
She eating him up.
What is known to be a dictator.
She eating up shit.
For months.
Said some shit about fucking abortions at 9 months.
Yes, that's what they do in Minnesota.
I wanted to respond to something you said earlier.
There is no such thing as
Please,
an
I'll
abortion
give you a
at
minute
9 months.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow.
They have that in Minnesota.
100,000 men.
Look it up.
But he would have been sitting in Moscow.
Alright, they call it something different.
In Moscow.
They call it something different. Trust me, it's.
But eventually,
it is. Look, man, it's some witches and warlocks in medicine and in the medical field. I'm telling you.
Thinks about that. And
it's some evil people in the medical field. I shit you not.
It hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky.
I don't do the bloody shirt, man.
And she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator.
What you planning?
They sent her in to negotiate as soon as they left.
I'm going to talk to you in the kitchen.
The invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is, it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy.
It's the best way to watch the debate.
It's at stake here. The President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
You talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin.
Why you ain't stop her?
Came up first hour.
You never stop her.
I wanted to move on.
Just let that bitch ramble.
Said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen, for years we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying, one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. Otherwise, we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up at the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment there at Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility for the way that withdrawal?
Get the fuck, stop busting me up.
I agree with President Biden's decision to pull out of it. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying for $300 million a day. We were paying for that endlessly.
Yeah, instead we're paying $1 trillion a week.
There is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world the first time this century.
Why not?
Let's understand how we got.
Why the fuck not? We are in a serious situation.
Negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 terrorists, Taliban terrorists, released. And get this. And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David.
I want to shoot the boat.
A place of storied significance for us as Americans. A place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David. Because he does not, again, appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be Commander-in-Chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he...
Man, her 2 minutes is up. Cut her ass off.
Military, fallen soldiers.
I've been tiring this shit.
It's
unfair.
Hold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response.
You gave her like 24 more seconds, man.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers.
Prices rise and fall.
Bro! Oh my God!
Get set, go. ShopRanger.com for the product you need to live.
Fuck Ranger!
And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore.
I don't usually have ads, but now I share my YouTube premium.
During this election.
And for 18 months...
Yeah, you're going to hate me during this election.
We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than that, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, man. And they didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move
on. These people did the worst withdrawal. And in my opinion, the most embarrassing.
Man, they gonna say that the damn debate was neck and neck.
That's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago."
Oh man, here you go.
I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
Because she's using it.
I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts?
Her brother faked black his way into medical school.
That we have someone
Her sister.
who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States.
What is she? Right. I don't remember any. I'm gonna have to look all this up.
Other than this, want someone who understands as I do. I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks.
So it's a 2 minutes up, or 144, 146.
We'll invest in those, not in hate and division.
Almost.
Now your third time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said.
Yeah, she's just pandering to get the vote. It really ain't got nothing to do with nothing right now.
Bloomberg agreed with me on the Central Park 5. They admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt the person, killed the person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. She's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
What?
Clearly,
what?
I'm not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not.
Come on, Timo, get the fuck off my screen.
What I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes.
I've been saying that shit. They're both here. I know exactly
about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling let's turn the page.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy, please.
Your time is up,
To
Harris.
defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's guns.
President Trump,
She has
you
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow fracking.
You let that bitch talk. Let him talk.
That's what her plan is for Bill Gibson.
President Trump. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're going to respond, Vice President. President Trump, this is now your third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say just keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan in coming California?
Obamacare was lousy health care. Always was. It's not very good today. And what I said is that if we come
Obamacare still sucks, Mike.
we're going to do it and we're going to replace it.
The website still lock up on you and all that. It's terrible.
But Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. You read about the bad ones, you get some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of it. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So, listen, yesterday, you still do not have a plan.
Amen.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not-too-distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as Vice President, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president said. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand.
She doesn't have a plan.
When Donald Trump
she has a posterior.
60 times he tried to get Affordable Care. 60 times. I was a senator at the time. When I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate, and the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability...
That girl be speaking facts, y'all.
...to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company...
Am I getting a phone call?
If a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes, and thankfully...
You know what? You never win an argument with a woman. You never do. You can ask any woman. She's going to say, sometimes men win, and you're not going to win with that either.
And now we have capped the cost of insulin.
Oh, shit.
Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And
This.
What the
And
fucking
this.
fuck?
They're the same thing.
Come on!
TXU Energy has a whole new way to save. With Live Your Free, you automatically get free energy every month.
My God, go away.
And not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And
They aren't.
The chopper's in the air.
I agree. Women are not fit for presidency unless she's She-Hulk.
Today's target is a cautionary tale, homie. The target is one of the founding members of that phone company, Bittersweet. Man, back in the day, he lived the whole Vinewood tech pioneer life. Private jets, kale smoothies, cocaine for breakfast. Man, you know, all that crazy shit. Then everyone started buying iPhone phones instead. And he went off the rail real fucking fast. Got into all sorts of nasty shit. And I mean nasty shit. And the company fucking tanked.
People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and make money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation and you need to be.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important.
President Trump, thank you.
Particularly younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, we call climate change.
All right, transfer that money, baby.
What would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, to start with you, 1 minute for you each.
well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask.
I'm going to have to pause that and tell you that climate change is not a hoax. These are the signs of Jesus' return, the Most High, the Heavenly Father, His Son that He sent to earth in His form to absolve for the sin of man. Those are the signs of His return. The devil is just using climate change to try to throw us off from his, because he's a copycat. He'll never win. He's just trying to throw us off and distract us so we can continue to live it the way that we're living.
Anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go, we know that we can
Time is up.
deal
Let's go. I'm ready to go home
the young
anyway.
people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as Vice President over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in
Right
a
after
clean
I fought
energy
CC.
economy while we have increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been Vice President. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
We're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible.
They have destroyed it.
Nothing because they refuse. You know,
I work for a pipe welding company. 3 pipe welding companies have gone out of business.
Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these
3 that I've worked for personally.
You wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one?
Welding.
China. Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is
yeah. You know me. Executive
and they're
shit.
selling our country down the tubes.
President.
We'll be right back. Closing statements from
Okay, good. I made it.
It's a historic night. This ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back to
The ABC News presidential debate will continue after this.
So in my mind, I think the worst thing. In my mind, I think the worst thing that can happen is if we can get Kamala Harris. That's the worst thing I think can happen is if we get Kamala Harris for president. Man, I think it's going to be so many people committing suicide, so many people leaving the country. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be expensive. You remember that that scene in The Lion King where Scar took over for a little bit? I pray she don't win. I don't give a damn if it's one vote, bro. I pray she don't. Y'all can see my house. It's all messy. I need to clean up. Look. Alright. I missed everything that just happened. Why did you stop? Why did you stop? Gone. Fuck out of here. Damn. But yeah, when I see her winning, I see this world turning. Not this world, just this country. I think we'll be getting charged to leave the country. Like, you got to pay off all your debt before you can leave and shit. You know, I had a dream. Speaking of debt, I had a dream that bro, what are you doing? What is you doing, fool? Oh man.
Hey, real estate investors, big heads up. Don't tell anybody, but I'm gonna show you how to get in real estate game.
I had a dream that we that we was locked up in these underground apartments or what? That the government was paying for with all the money that was supposed to be going for the border or whatever. Damn, homeboy. Oh man. All right, enough of that. I hated to do that. Damn, I hated to do that. I thought that was my taser, homeboy. They look just alike. Ain't that what the police say?
Hello, this is 911. What emergency service do you require?
Paramedic.
Paramedics are en route to your current location.
Damn. Anyway, the dream was about we had all lived in these underground apartments, right? And we would the front of the apartments faced towards the sunlight. And oh yeah, that's right. Let's get out of here. The front of the apartments faced towards the sunlight, right? But the back of the apartments was deep inside the mountain. It was hot back there because it was close to the magma and all that stuff. It was crazy. So we were in these underground sustainable household apartments, and we was in there based on how much debt we owed. And the less debt you had, the nicer your apartment, or the closer you was to getting your freedom. But in my dream or whatever, they was just taking dudes out, taking women out, just bam, 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 because they wanted to take a day off, or they wanted to go to the bathroom, or they fucked around and had a baby. All right, look, we got the baby now. We don't need you. And when it comes down to this shit with abortion up to the ninth month, that is in some states. It's called infanticide. It's not exactly called murder. What they would do is they would just use those organs. The good organ. I need to be able to see right here. I'm not even gonna do that right now. Fuck it. They need to be able to use those organs and resell them, and then take them back to labs and use stem cells to grow those organs. So some of the baby is still alive in a sense. It's some real witchcraft and evil going on in the medical field. I know this because I've been heavily exposed to the medical field to a point where it's something that I just don't want to do. And I had to,
from the National Constitution.
And I had to really think about what I wanted to, where I wanted to place. I had to really think about where I wanted to place my energy, and if it was conducive to the type of person that I wanted to live and be around.
Z. Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements and Vice President Harris.
It's almost over, y'all. I know you're bored.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
I'm definitely posting this in the Matt Show.
But we're not going back.
I don't trust doctors either. Go down to the NICU. Them women have no souls. The NICU is the neonatal intensive care unit. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And a vision of that includes having a
the debate.
Understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
That's not a problem. You can do that already.
I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor,
that you locked up.
I've never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever ask them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the Americans.
That makes so much sense. You can't get an abortion here, go to another state. It's not a problem.
So he just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
What are you doing?
She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things
we're not gonna, you know what? I agreed with it until I went through it.
Things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not.
I felt that.
Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy.
I felt my baby soul leave this earth.
We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just asked one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban.
Yeah.
Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and to all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
What the? Come. Oh. The debate, y'all, in my honest opinion, at this point,
All right, we were waiting for...
At this point, no matter who wins, it's going to be so many people upset that the other person didn't win, that no matter what policy or what plan either one of them has, the people ultimately make local decisions that based on, yeah, we're definitely in trouble, based on the ideology that they've been taught and grew up around. Okay? So all of this constant every day, it's something, every week it's a new this, every week it's another that, it's a threat of a lockdown, oh, there is no lockdown, oh, here's a disease, well, the disease didn't go like we planned, so we're going to go back in the lab and make something else. Type shit. It's the people that want the other party to fail are going to create a society of the lights and the policies that they want to have implemented that will ultimately benefit them. Both of these parties are owned by Zionist Orthodox Jews with tons and tons of money. Remember, it wasn't Christians that brought slaves over here, it was Jews. And the Jewish people at the time, not the Jewish people of the Bible, the people that have assumed the identity, the stolen identity of the average, of the biblical Jews. But in all honesty, my sister Gabby told you, we're in trouble either way. We're in trouble because there is a worldwide spiritual falling away from the principles and values that we grew up with. If you saw that, then you saw that. America is being destroyed from the inside out. That is the perfect military strategy. Sow division, let them kill themselves. Raise prices so that we can play this war out the long way. So that the next division, so that the next generation will have free reign to buy the land up for cheap and start new corporations that will be in line with the policies of those that want to control the world. Meaning people that don't mind getting vaccinated, meaning people that don't mind getting an RFID chip, meaning people that don't mind being controlled. This place, the whore of Babylon, the experiment of the world, America, I don't see no coming back from it, okay? I don't. The Most High is judging God, Jesus, Buddha, foghorn, leghorn, whatever you worship and ideologize. Whatever it is, you can see that what we're going through is a different kind of battle. It's more than not being able to pay the rent. It's more than not being able to feed the babies. It's more than not being able to get gas or afford insurance. It's more than not being able to take care of your health or your teeth. It's a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle. We fight against principalities and spirits from that are unseen, and they come with a whole army, more than that even outnumber us. They come with a whole army, a whole cohort of demonic entities and possessions that can multiply themselves, attach themselves to anything and everything, and I don't think that we as a collective nation are spiritually inclined enough to understand when we're being attacked and from how many different angles. There's so many different ways that we suffer from a spiritual attack, whether that be watching porn, or looking at Instagram and wishing we had the life that these other people had, or whether it's stuffing our faces with food that's got dyes and chemicals in it that's going to kill us anyway. We're too blind. We're too caught up in our day-to-day life. We should be in the streets rioting, fighting, setting things on fire. We should be taking our country back by force, but that's not happening, okay? Because we're all disconnected. At the end of the day, you got to get up and go to work because you're scared of losing your house, your apartment, your bills. You're scared of your phone getting turned off. You're scared of not having no connection to your pussy. You're scared of what can be. And this is ultimately going to be the destruction of us all. It's terrible that we're going through this as a nation, as a family, as a community, as a world. Everyone's going through this. If it's not us, the majority of the people in the world live in the Middle East, over there up under China, India, Istanbul, Saskatchewan, all that shit that I can't pronounce and it's spelled funny, okay, with them different weird looking letters. Everybody is falling away from this, from the Most High and His teaching, from the Lord and His word, from Jesus and His prophecies. They don't care. People don't care. There is a mental illness going around of just not giving a fuck about your soul. Oh, it doesn't exist now, huh? Because you can see through people and you can read their soul and they're just like you, right, huh? No. We have got to figure things out. And hold on. You want what? What happened? They
get back 2,100.
Yeah, they're gonna. I should have told you they're gonna hit you with like a $495 penalty. All right, so look.
But I want the whole 2,600.
You got to pay a penalty. There is a tax on that. There is a penalty on that. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Look. I teach welding classes. They're $100, $80 for the ladies, okay? Because y'all got so much going on and you're learning something at 100 miles a minute. What?
So should I do like partial rollover with the amount paid to the IRA so I can still have access to money?
Partial rollover. What is partial rollover? Explain that to me.
I'm trying to figure out what I need to do because I keep the full amount paid to me, but it's not going to be the whole.
Yeah, it's going to be a penalty if you get the full amount. I got to go. I'm handling some business right now. I'll talk to you guys later. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you don't like and subscribe to my stuff already. I really appreciate you all for tuning in. Gabby, I love you. I wish the best for you. May God bless you and your family and your friends and your friends' family and your family's friends. I'll call you later, everyone. All right, now what you need help with, Cece?